Welcome everyone, Simon here from the Whales of Wall Street 2023. Great to be back here doing these videos for you guys. Before I get started in today's topic, please do not forget to smash that subscribe button if you haven't done so already, and check out the other videos on the channel as well after this one. Loads of different topics, discussions, various different assets we cover as well. And if there's anything you want us to talk about, discuss, or check out any other different asset projects, let us know and we will for sure get involved on those as well. And we're looking to do at least one live show per week from now on as well. Everything's set up for this, looking forward to it. But let's go straight into today's topic, guys. Hedera hash graph. Particularly, I wanted to bring this to the attention. First of all, Hedera having their own area and space within Davos 2023. Those that have no idea what Davos is, I suggest you go and check this out. Because this is run by World Economic Forum. And I hands down say this categorically. You think prime ministers and presidents are in charge of the world? Forget it. World Economic Forum are the top of the pyramid, working heavily and integrating heavily the likes of the Agenda 21 program, the Agenda 30, or the UN documentation, the sustainability, diversification planning, anything and everything, guys. Economically, what we can and cannot do moving forward will be orchestrated by these people. We'll go into that in a bit more detail in a second. But my point being about this with Hedera's involvement, anything related to the World Economic Forum, in my eyes, is an absolute must in terms of investment, or certainly acknowledgement towards the interest of what is the capabilities really of the World Economic Forum and all the technologies that are involved with it and all the people that are involved with it as well. So for me, I do have in some mindset that, the way the world is going, particularly through this kind of like orchestrated manner, you sort of do have like a flip of the coin, if you like, of suggesting that actually I'm just going to pay attention to all the projects and companies that are related to this kind of powerhouse, because these ones are going to be the ones that are going to change the world, or we will move forward with this in the world to come. There's nothing we can really do about it. So I'm excited from the fact that I hold Hedera in my portfolio. I'm excited the fact that these guys have a massive presence at the Davos Agenda event, which is the 15th to 20th of January, literally around the corner, guys. But yeah, for sure, there's pros and cons about this whole entire system and what's to come for humanity and society, machine, whatever, and it all comes from this this avenue. It's quite scary, but in some ways weirdly exciting in some ways as well. So check this out. It's very interesting to keep on top of this and an open mind as well as to how Hedera are going to present themselves at this kind of space. And just bear in mind, which we'll go into more detail in a second, at this Hedera house, there was going to be a great company in terms of the people that are available at these kind of events to talk to network with. The World Economic Forum, guys, as I said, is huge. Klaus Schwab, the founder, the executive chairman of the World Economic Forum, you're going to hear his name a lot more as the years go by and time goes by, for sure. But around him, amongst the sort of like aspects of who's kind of orchestrating this whole entire system, you've got people like from Accenture, you've got people from all the different banks, you've got things like Christine, as for example, president of the European Central Bank, loads of different energy companies, corporations around the world that you can, anything and everything that could probably pop in your head. The guys are probably already involved in the World Economic Forum in some capacity. As I said about prime ministers and presidents, most of them come from the leadership program, the graduate program of the World Economic Forum. If you don't believe it, go and check it out. Even here in the UK, Liz Truss, who was before Sunak for a very limited time, but Sunak himself as well, both graduates from the leadership program of the World Economic Forum. The pieces are in play, guys, around the world. The next few years are going to be very, very substantial in the way that we develop, as I said, in everything. The economy, society, supply chain, climate, everything will be orchestrated through this organization. The Davos agenda, keep an eye out for it. It is absolutely huge. The amount of people that go there, not just people like you and me, that we're not allowed. We're talking about proper top people in the world go to this kind of event, and it really is quite palpable how there are a few of these people in control of the world. I don't know who voted for them. I certainly didn't, and I'm sure you didn't either. So it does mind baffle me a lot to see how this has even happened. But I think more and more people are becoming aware of this. But this topic about Hedera and linking into cryptocurrencies in general, blockchain technology in general, in society, in the way that the world will operate in the future. Now, we know Hedera is one of those top projects using DAG protocol, direct acyclic graph. This is the evolution, the future, if you like, of blockchain's next step. And especially something that we will be utilizing more and more of as we look for machine to machine learning, autonomous aspects, automation aspects, and pulling in pretty much every sector you can possibly think of. We've done a few videos recently on Hedera about the energy sector, the gaming sector, supply chain, all these things. And there's loads of assets out there, loads of projects out there that do similar things or focus on similar sectors. But for sure, this is one of the big leading programs, projects, and technologies. And for the fact that these guys are at the World Economic Forum's Davos event speaks volumes. Okay, you don't just get a random invitation to this event. You have to be very superior in this sector, and the knowledge that you have and can portray in this event to other people in various different areas, and certainly pretty much a representative from every country and every kind of system and sector will be at this event. That's how big it is. But this topic from the World Economic Forum, this is what the future holds for cryptocurrencies. These guys are building the full framework of regulatory aspects and legislation. And they've got fantastic information. There's a really cool chart here about the total value settled with stablecoins by year. Look at this, since 2019. So the big adoption is coming. And look at that, 7 trillion. Can you believe that? That is absolutely phenomenal amounts of money and value being stabilized and transacted and settled by stablecoins. We've got a bit of a graph here of Tether USDC. I'm not sure what the other ones would be. I can probably imagine a few of them. But for sure, USDC and Tether are probably the main ones that everyone kind of knows and probably uses mostly in the exchanges. I know I do for sure. But it's giving me a bit of an ideology around like where we're going with this. And it's woken up more and more people. Now, don't kid yourselves. The World Economic Forum, the people involved, people in banking, haven't just woken up to cryptocurrency and got excited about it. These guys have been working with it from day one. Rest assured. And in fact, you can go on to like the ISO 222 compliance about the new messaging system. That has been something since the 90s, okay, and refurbed, I think, back in 2004, and certainly 2013, I think, was one of the most recent ones, and more recently as well. And that's a very big point about the messaging system because this relates heavily to things like CBDCs and a new framework for finance moving forward. Big conversations about inflation, the economy, downfall, everything like this, all orchestrated, by the way, and there's no doubt about it. But the results are the solution. Create the dependency, create the solution, create the problem after you've made the solution, and then integrate the solution. Be the hero. And that's what's going to come pretty much over the next few years. And I'm adamant still, 2025, I truly believe CBDCs and this whole conversation will be the big catalyst for the big move upwards in the future for cryptocurrency, mass adoption, utilization of blockchain, everything. And it will transfer itself all the way through to the Agenda 30 program, the finalization of that. And there'll probably be another one to take us to 2050, probably. And you'll start seeing net goals about 2050, all of this stuff for everything. This is how it works. It's been planned for a long time. Digital currencies in particular. Even here, December the 5th, 2022, do cryptocurrencies have a future? An expert explains. It's a really interesting video, definitely worth a watch. Some really interesting like protocols and information of cryptocurrencies moving forward. Some really cool topics in that. But as I said, this is not new to these people. They've been talking about this and knowing about this for a long time, way beyond before probably people were even starting investing it on exchanges. That this was coming. Blockchain in itself actually was a theory and potential development that was in the late 80s. Not many people know that, but it just never transpired. It never had the sort of technological advancement to actually create it and formulate it. Hence, 2007 Bitcoin kind of brought that to life, right? Satoshi, if he's even a real person, I don't know. created the symbology of this and the actual eureka moment of bringing it to life. And since then, it's just absolutely exploded. And we've got to remember that's about 15, 16 years ago. Crazy, right? It's been around for that long. And we're still only touching and scratching the surface of regulation and how this is going to be used moving forward. They talk a lot about Ethereum in the World Economic Forum. There's no doubt about it that they have massive integrations and partnerships within this kind of system and using it probably as the framework towards things like the Hyperledger Fabric, which a lot of the bigger companies like Microsoft, like IBM use, for example, Accenture use, that we can't have access to as an investor or anything like this. But they know what they're doing. And there's big topics here about what happened with FTX and why there's a need for substantial regulation and integration of legislation around the world. And there's no doubt in my mind that they've probably already got it. They're just taking their time about it. So when they release the CBDCs, we probably have our hands tied and probably can't do much at all other than do as we're told or don't get your pay or don't get your money, whatever it might be. I'm quite on the fence with CBDCs at the moment. I see some good pros about it, but I also see the negativity. There's no doubt in my mind that CBDCs will be brought in to basically eliminate the entire inflation scenario, reverse that economic downturn, and become the heroic solution, which we as investors and on these channels, and I'm sure you watch other channels and talk about all the time, we know this. We know it's coming, but to the general public, we're talking about like 90% of the world have no idea what cryptocurrency is. They may have heard some of the names, but they won't know what's coming. And that's when it becomes really exciting because 90% of the world will follow whatever is told in the media and they'll go, oh, there's a new system that's really exciting, and not think about, wow, okay, what does this actually mean? And this is really interesting. So we're looping this back to Hedera. Hedera are phenomenal technologies. I mentioned about DAG. DAG is very interesting to me. I'm not talking about Constellation. I'm talking about DAG, the technology, direct cyclic graph. I talked about this in IOTA. I talked about Constellation, of course, as well. Hedera are doing similar things. And it's as I said, their presence at this kind of event is really exciting to me. And as I said as well earlier, if you haven't heard of the World Economic Forum before, please check them out. Do your research because honestly, the whole entire spectrum of cryptocurrency and blockchain in general is devised by these people. No one else. Trust me. And go and have a look at it. Just have a look at it. Have a look at the research. Have a look at the topics. Have a look at the people. Have a look at the people who go to this event, who found this event, who operate in this event, and not just Davos. I'm talking about the World Economic Forum in general. You'll be absolutely staggered by what is going on. And then you will ask the questions that I've asked for many, many years. Who put these people here? And why are they dictating everything that goes on in the world? And it really puts massive things into perspective that actually things aren't what they seem when you watch the news or you read your newspaper or social media, wherever it might be, that actually there's a big game in the background. And do you know what? For the last few years, and the reason I got into cryptocurrency about 2015, some people call me crazy, but like David Icke was talking about digital currency, the emergence of privatization of everything, healthcare, farming, everything. And since he said that, we've seen the agriculture bill with farming. We've seen the privatization of land, privatization of agriculture. We've taken the privatization of healthcare. And now we're going to see it with transportation. Certainly here in the UK, people think it's crazy with the rail strikes and everything. It's going to lead to privatization, guys. And it loops all the way back to this whole entire system of diversification, sustainability, and basically monopolizing everything and keeping it under full control. Integrating systems like CBDCs where everything just becomes autonomous. And it's going to be a crazy world. But my point being with Hedera and pretty much all the other projects I invest in is this integration. Okay. The fact that these guys are already involved and I can sit here and cry. I can sit here and invest in the things that are probably going to be the demise of society. Who knows? But it's a very interesting way to say it and think about it. But actually, you sort of sat there with which way do I go here? And I hope to change the future. I hope to make it better. Unfortunately, sometimes you do need money to do that. And I hope that we can change and fix things. I'm a firm believer in decentralization. However, I think that this battle is currently being lost. And I'm wary of going into the wrong hands of these other projects, these other blockchain technologies, the infrastructure of that going into the wrong hands. And we as people almost have a responsibility being in this space and understanding more, educating ourselves as much as possible to start helping other people make decisions and choices and at least know about what's coming. So it sounds like a bit of a weird topic today, but I just wanted to make it clear that most of these projects we're invested in are part of something you cannot even fathom unless you've done full-on research. Or yeah, I know certain people in the big hierarchies of big corporations like FIS, WellPay. I know what's coming, and it's going to be a really weird few years for sure. But we're in this together, and I think it's really interesting to see if we can make some money off this. It's quite crazy, right? But yeah, of course, check out Davos, check out World Economic Forum. As I said, even just going through this list down here, it's massive companies. Certainly from Hedera in general, and people coming across from this into the banking systems. Don't be fooled by all the crazy circus that you see on media all the time. So let's go into the Hedera HBAR price chart before we wrap this video up, because we've had a few nice movements on Hedera actually quite recently. I wanted to pull this chart out backwards here, back to 2020. This is when I first started investing in Hedera. And I was buying Hedera even at higher prices of around 15 cents or so, even to the higher points than that probably. But now back at these kind of levels, guys. And if we actually have a look at this green line that goes across, this is representing the current price of 0.039. So very much nearly 4 cents, something that we didn't really see properly since January 2021, pretty much a year ago, which is absolutely crazy. I can't believe how fast this time has flown. But what I wanted to bring this point to attention was that we're coming back to these lower prices that we saw 2 years ago. And this was a very fundamental area when I was like, oh, I wish I got more. And that was when I was talking about 15 cents. I wish I got more of these lower reaches. Now down here, and I am for sure buying manually right now. However, I do have positions at lower areas. Currently, we are around sort of 93% deficit of where we were at that high point that we saw earlier in 2021. And that took us all the way up here, guys, which is quite phenomenal, really. Near enough 60 cents. I'm just going to remove that price range decrease marker there. So we've got a bit of clarity furthermore. So we're very much near 100% reduction in that high point. So we're kind of like at the very, very low areas. But I still believe that this could come down lower. Why do I think this? Well, it's not just because we are going in a downward pattern and just guessing. I put this circle in here quite some time ago as a really good representative point for me personally to buy more Hedera at lower prices. It could be quite easy to just say, well, you just put it on fib retracement lines downwards, and if it comes in, you look great. But I want to give you a bit of a theory here behind this further. So not only did I do that based on fib retracement levels and the downward trend that we are in, and we could look at Elliott waves and all of that for sure. It can for sure verify what I'm trying to talk about. But my main philosophy around this was the movements in the history of HBAR. Now we take this big gap here between January 2021 and roughly, let's say here, between May and June, this last year has gone, 2022, right? Huge dwarf here in the space of Hedera's price points. But in these early stages, we talk about resistance and support lines, right, all the time. And this is very important. In fact, in this short space of time, you can see here that there really isn't much verification behind support and resistance levels. It got taken up because the market itself went phenomenal. We had the big low downs in 2020, especially around March for sure, when the whole market tanked. Even Bitcoin coming down, I think it was to like £3,000, which is, I don't know, $4,000 or $5,000 at the time. I can't really remember. But it was phenomenal because those that had been hearing about crypto and wanted to get involved all of a sudden had a massive opportunity to jump in at crazy prices. And it was the same for all the other ones as well. So what we've got here is, I wouldn't call it volatility, but I would certainly say there's a lot of jumping around, right? Certainly between these areas of 3 cents that we roughly are around now and this kind of 4-5 cent markers as well. And this is very much in the area that we're playing in right now. Fast forwarding to January 2023. I've got to try and get used to saying that, 2023. So before this big gap, we haven't really got much to say about these lower regions. Is 3 cents actually a support line for Hedera? Is 4 cents actually a support line? We don't actually know. And there isn't enough data here or information to suggest that Hedera is ready to suggest that it is for sure defining itself at these areas. So I play not necessarily safe, but under the opportunist aspect that, well, there's a lot of fluctuation down here at this 3 cent level, even lower. where we could argue that if we break this barrier, we could come down and play around with these even lower areas of 2 cents, maybe even just under 2 cents, potentially back to that 1 cent. Who knows? We'll have to see, because there's a lot of macro events still going on around the world. Obviously, a lot of depression, a lot of anxiety around fear of finances and all these things, right? It's almost like we're waiting for the bubble to burst even further and for the stock markets and everything to completely crash itself. One final hurrah downwards, right? So this is why I play these areas at the lower regions. I've got some buy orders in there on limit orders at 3 cents, and I do have some at lower regions as well. I need to double check where they are on my thing, but I do believe they are sort of represented based on the fib levels. But again, back to this point that I was making before of these areas in history. So it's not just drawing lines and drawing circles around what's already here with fib levels and things like that. There is definitive information here previously that we can all look at and go, actually, this makes sense now. Because after this point here in January 2021, it went skyrocketing. But the problem with that is you do have the general curve down. If you've made profits and trades along the way, brilliant. But I'm a long-term holder of Hedera. I didn't sell any Hedera off. I was always trying to accumulate ready for 2025 and beyond. And there's a great opportunity right now. And I am DCA for sure. I'm not suggesting that we'll definitely come down to these lower regions of like 3 cents, 2 cents. But I have to prepare myself. But I'm still very equally happy to be buying Hedera at this kind of price point because of the future that Hedera holds, the positive price points that Hedera could get to in the future. I honestly firmly believe that we would see at least $3 to $5 by 2025. Some people might call that crazy and think it's even higher. Some may think it's low. Who knows? But based on the trend, based on the mass adoption, the integration, the technology development, especially things like these events that are coming at Davos, the integrations, the conversations, the networking, the integration through finance, everything that we always talk about on this channel, especially its actual DAG technology. This is where it gets really exciting, guys, for me personally. And that's why I believe firmly in those future potential price points. So we're at these low regions. Can you imagine 4 cents even going to $1? And we have seen half that amount in 2021. By 2025, I expect us to be smashing through that. And once we break that dollar, then we're talking about serious volumes coming in, because that's when people really do pay attention to the history of something like Hedera, the magnitude of what Hedera is in the space and what it is doing technologically. People will understand this more and more, and they will want further involvement in this, because this is an absolute diamond in the making, in my opinion. We're just going to wrap this video up, guys, talking about the RSIs and my pinpoint mention here about why do I want to wait for some lower regions potentially. Well, right now the RSIs are floating around 36 on the 14-day and the 38 on the 28-day respectively. Now this has been, well, it would have been better probably the last 2 days to get involved in the DCA, but it's not a massive huge difference between now and then. But my point being is that this is still a really good point personally for me to DCA into. It's both under 40. That 90-day is very interesting as well. It's very close to 40. 2 days ago, I think it was even closer with 41.85. So for me, these are really good indicators to suggest that we're at some really good positive areas for purchasing, or indeed levels of accumulation, because we have a reduced risk of it dropping down significantly further quickly, and also on the uprise there's a lot of room for movement in the positive direction, right? So if you're investing in these lower regions, there's a big opportunity for taking those trades. If you're a day trader or a weekly trader, there's a lot of opportunity there at these lower regions. Okay, so as I said, I do anticipate this to be coming down low. That's not an indication to say there is a terrible project or an asset or anything like that, but for me personally, it's suggesting that the way the market's going, the way the world is going, there is opportunity. And even taking those points aside in this downward trend, I do firmly believe that we cannot categorize Hedera as supported at 3 cents. I don't believe it significantly yet until we match that and confirm that. We're first of all confirming the lower points that we saw back here in 2020 and confirming that in more recent times. If we can do that, we can take Hedera upwards. But I think we need the world to change as well a bit for that to happen as well. Guys, let us know your comments below about Hedera. HBAR token itself. Have you been DCAing like I am? Are you waiting for lower regions like I am as well? Have you got your orders in? And let us know what you think about this whole topic about the World Economic Forum, Davos, and Hedera's involvement as well, because this just shows positivity towards Hedera, in my opinion, and it's one of the big reasons, why I hold this phenomenal asset in my portfolio. Guys, I'm going to wrap up there. Thank you so much for watching. We've got some more videos coming away tomorrow on all the other assets that we cover. So yeah, thanks for watching. Let us know if there's any other assets you want us to cover. But until then, we'll see you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.